Surah Fatiha once and 3 times Surah Ikhlas for the marhumin, especially for the Niyas sponsor for tonight, inshallah, Sayyid Hassan Abbas. Please recite for his marhumin. Jazakumullah khairan. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله أوله بلا أول كان قبل وآخره بلا آخر يكون بعده الذي قصرت عن رؤيته أبصار الناظرين وأجزت عن نعته أوهام الواصفين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا حبيبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل وعلى الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الدائم على أعدائهم وغاصب حقوقهم ومنكر فضائلهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد قال الله الحكيم في محكم الكتاب المجيد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإنما إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. We pointed out to a few of the aspects of the first kalima, such as kun of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when Allah decided, when Allah did irada. So first is Allah and then irada. And then after irada is kun, is a kalima, is a word. And then from after kun is fayakun, is the creation. Now when we look at the creation is physical, right? Allah created the heaven and earth fi sittati ayyam. Khalqas samawat wal ard fi sittati ayyam. So heaven and earth is physical, but the aspect of irada and kun or amr, innama idha arada shay'an, amru idha arada shay'an an yaqul lahu kun fayakun. So you have irada, the will of Allah, then there is the amr, and there is kun. Now the reality of amr is immaterial. The reality of fayakun is material. The reality of kun is immaterial, and the amr is immaterial, and also the irada is immaterial, which is of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obviously. So those things which are immaterial have the element of the reality of that is daf'i, which means it's in one go. But the reality of creation, fayakun, is tadriji. Okay, when Allah does the irada, He does amr. Amr is haqiqat mujarrad. Amr is mujarrad, is not material. So, and also it's the reality of this amr is in one go. It's not like it takes time. Okay, Allah will do, how He creates. First the heaven was created and the earth, and then how Adam was created in stages, turab and all that, But so the materiality have different levels, or there is tadriji, right? And even in the materiality, when we try to conceptualize higher realities behind this materiality, such as cause, illat, haqiqat illat. Haqiqat illat kya hai? What is illat? What is the reality of illat? Right? And there is not one illat, but there are many different causes that will make one physical thing to come. Okay? There are many different causes, not just one cause. Like for example, the door, darwaza, door. There's not only one cause there. There are many causes for that door to come about. For example, you have the material cause. The matter should be there for door. For example, you have the illati fa'ili, the person who is fa'il, who is the carpenter. He should be there. The material is there, carpenter is not there, the door will not be there. Right? The door form, illati suri they call it, the form cause, the cause of the form. The architect needs to know what is door and what is a window. Then the door will come. Otherwise, if the architect doesn't know, and there's no form, it will not come. Right? Then, for example, illati ghai, which means you need a door. If you don't need a door, why the door will come? So, what I'm trying to say is that in the alame maddi, in the material world, there are different causes at play, which needs our reflection. We as insan, as we want to reach to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these are all the reflections that is required of us to really come to that, the cause of all causes, which is Allah. Not take things as simple, but rather reflecting on it. That's what Allah wants us. That, that we should do tadabbur wa tafakkur. The food comes to us, but there's so much went inside it, right? That requires appreciation, right? That requires to reflect, and then for us as well, and thankfulness, that this saliva, if this was not there, all food will taste like a cardboard, because it's the saliva which makes us differentiate the taste. If I don't produce saliva, if I don't have saliva, if I eat hot food, it's the same. If I eat sweet food, it's the same. If I eat cold food, it's the same. All food have same taste, right? So the taste that is for me coming in the food is because of that saliva, which requires that thankfulness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The food itself in its essence have its taste. As it has a taste, that's why other people can taste it, but I'm not tasting it because I don't have that. See how many causes are there? Okay, if I have the saliva, but the food is tasteless, then the food needs to have taste as well. It's not just my saliva will give the taste. There's so many things Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, creating and providing for one thing to happen. Right? So, and this is in the realm or in the domain or in the dunya of materiality. In the alame khilqat, in the alame khalq. Now, in the alame amr, which is immaterial, there's no gradation, there is no levels, it's only in one instance. Everything is at one instance. Allah does irada, it says kun, it happens. But when Allah does that irada for fayakun to take place in this world, it takes, stages, gradually. If Allah wanted, for example, some people say, if Allah wants you to become a man, so Allah says, become a man, then why this becoming pregnant and baby and crawling and, if Allah wants that, yes, it's possible. But the sunnat of Allah, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have decided the things to be, is gradual. Now, why He decided that way? Because if it's just simple like this, okay, be, and it becomes a man all of a sudden. Okay, but the beauty is to understanding the different stages, to see the intricacies, the details, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is at play, and at every instant, ذَلِكَ هُوَ فِي شَانٍ. In every little instance, there's Allah there. When we look at the different diversity, so many things are playing, we say, wow, this is indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is the creator, who is Hakim, who knows. So there's more of an appreciation for us, and at the same time, as we are living in this world, the requirement of this matter is that it has to be gradual. It just can't be like that, because it is not spirit. It's not immaterial, like imagination. I say Karbala, you close your eyes, you are in Karbala. But for you to physically go to Karbala, it takes time, right? But from the spirit, from the heart, you just go there, you're there, right? But for your soul, now obviously there are different levels of this as well. There's a level of imagination, right? On the deeper level, there's a level of the soul traveling itself there, not just the imagination. For us, it's more of an imagination, and this imagination as well for us perhaps is due to because we have some picture of Karbala in our mind, which is giving us that power to imagine. Because of the physical thing, I have seen Karbala or I have seen the picture of Karbala, then I can imagine, right? Because of that physical thing. But the reality and the truth of Karbala is not physical, it's beyond physical. So if my soul is able to comprehend what Karbala is, it doesn't really need this physicality. So that goes on a deeper level of, there's a level of dreams, there's a level of the soul traveling as well, when the soul can travel there. Anyway, Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So, after this will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His iradeh, His intention, in order to, do that, give that amr, it says, إِنَّمَا إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا أَن يَقُولُ لَهُ كُن. Now, if you look at the word kun itself, it's a combination of two things, kaf and noon, and it could be known as kalima, as a word. And this is what it echoes even in the Bible as well. The logos, the word, the spirit, over the creation, there was the logos were there, that was living. There was that spirit over the creation. Now, is this over the creation? Does it mean that the creation was created and the spirit was moving? No. Or over the creation as in hierarchy. First is the logos, first is the spirit, first is the kun, and then the fayakun is in the lower level. Right? Then in that lower level, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about very clearly, and even the Bible also of the similar things, that in regards to the creation being created in 6 days. Now, the creation being creation in 6 days, there is a lot of exegesis, tafsir, different stages that people talk about. For example, you have some saying that it's 6 days is actually the 6 different stages. It's not 6 days, because a day will come about after the sun is being created. Sunrise, sunset is a day. But there's no question of sun being created before, where Allah is saying that I have created the creation in 6 days. Because the sun is part of the creation itself. As sun is the part of the creation itself, how can it become the criteria of measuring the days? Right? So 6 days is actually pointing out to as in 6 stages. It's not just day as in from sunrise to sunset, but as different stages. Or for example, if you look at 6 days, as in Allah talks about Yawm al-Qiyamah, the day of judgment, is a day, is one day. Right? It's just one day, which is more than 50,000 years, Allah is saying. Right? Now when Allah is saying here as in days, well, at that time when Allah is saying day of judgment, is there a sun for it to be day? Because everything will be, إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ وَإِذَا النُّجُومُ انْكَدَرَتْ, everything will be destroyed. The sun will be put off, the mountains will fly like cotton, and so on and so forth. But still Allah says as in day. Yawm al-Qiyamah, the day of judgment. Is there a sun for it to be day? So therefore day have the aspect of a stage, of a domain, of a level. So that's why Allah, when He says 6 days in the Quran, is actually pointing out to the 6 different stages of creation. And eventually it reached to the 6th day where, for example, everything was created. Adam was created, and then from which he says, I am the best creator. Ahsan Allah min al-khaliqeen. And as a matter of fact, the whole creation of heaven and earth is for this insan. Because it is insan, it is this human being who have that capacity to comprehend all of those things which we are discussing. It is insan who is able to comprehend the different types of illat which we talk about. The sheep and lamb will not think, right, about these, where is it really coming from? It is us who have that ability. And as we have that ability, this means that He has placed all of these things which are out there in us. When we know something, we are ruling over that. For example, a concept that I know. I am the owner of that concept, or I am the master of it. Ikhtiyar of that concept is with me, the choice is with me. And then I think and think, oh no, I change that concept to something greater because I am the master of it, right? Because I have the ability to do so, develop that concept, use another concept together and make it a new concept. I am the master of it. So when I'm talking about this illat, there are 8 different causes. Illat is suri, wa fa'ili, wa maddi, wa ghai, and all that. These are concepts. And these are not just concepts as in mind games, but these are the reality. These are the haqiqat. It's not just like a tafri of mind. We are not here doing tafri of our mind. This is something that is something, so this is a fact. Right? So now, when I have that ability to conceptualize, differentiate, like for example, there is jawhar and arad, which means substance and accident. For example, the wall. The accident on the wall is just white, the color of it, or black or brown or whatever. But in terms of its substance, is the wall, is the brick and so on and so forth. But the accidental quality of it is me who is able to differentiate this. I have the ability to do that. Although it's existing outside, but as I have the ability to do so, and at the same time do whatever I want with it, whatever color I want to put with it, other than just the concept, physically we can say that, okay, I'm the owner, I can do that. But not just physically, but even in terms of his mechanical or, his conceptual reality, which is subtle, which is immaterial reality, even on that I have that power. Not just the physical, that I'm the owner of it, I can do what I want. No, even I could, differentiate, this wall into, accident, jawhar, arad, and I don't know, what's the genus of it, what's the illat of it. So all that, I'm the master. As I have the ability to do so, this means that whatsoever is out there in this world, all of these things are in me. Because I am the owner of it. You talk about an angel, I could easily give you the whole passport of an angel. The whole concept, reality, its existence and whatnot, I could do that. Right? And not only that, I could become the owner of an angel as well. I could ask the angels to come and go if I reach to that power and take me. Right? For example, you have Hazrat Suleiman and the story of Hazrat Suleiman. Before even he blinked his eyes, the whole throne of Sheba was brought because of that power of that owners. Why? Because all of these things that are out there is in me. That's why there's a saying which is dedicated or related to Hazrat Amir, that is, O insan, you think of yourself as a little, a German saghir, like a small entity, but the whole creation is in you. Right? So when the whole creation is in me, this also allows me, on the basis of the Quran, as it says, Sanurihu fi ayat fi afaq wa anfus. We have placed our signs upon the horizon and within you. in order that you reflect, and with this reflection you will come حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الْحَقِّ. And while doing so, you will reach to haqq and truth. So there's, and this is true, and on the basis of the Masumeen, there's no need of Quran. There's no need of Rasul. There's no need of Imam. Because Allah have placed the signs in me and haqq and truth. That's why the seventh Imam says there are two hujjat. One is hujjat in us, and one is hujjat which is outside. Because this hujjat in us is preoccupied with the dunya, we forget. Then Allah sends the hujjat outside. But if my hujjat inside, if I'm born in the, I don't know, in the midst of Amazon or somewhere else where no prophet have reached, this hujjat that Allah have given me, I will be judged with that. And this will guide me towards that truth and haqq. That's why every person who is born, he's born a Muslim, based on that pure fitrah and nature and a believer. Right? The natural reactions of human beings itself is a proof that Allah is within them. That spirit, that ruh, that amr is in them. We all have that amr. Just very quickly in the margin, then we'll come back to insan and everything in insan as well. Because when I was talking about, when Allah does the irada, He does amr. And this amr is kun fayakun. Now this amr, Allah discusses in the spiritual growth of human being. There's a kitab, there's a book called Insan Dar Islam. Insan Dar Islam. It's been translated in English as well, spiritual growth of man. And in this he discusses insan qabla khilqat, insan before the creation was created, which is alam azal, which we'll talk about that as well, in a bit, maybe tomorrow or today. Then there is insan in earth, on earth, and then insan ba'das earth. So insan qabla khilqat, ba'das khilqat, insan qabla khilqat, dar khilqat, wa ba'das khilqat. So now, as it's with the command, which is amr, now this amr is in all of us and everything. Because the beginning is amr. Beginning is that kun. That we all have that kun in us. And this kun that is from Allah, it is from Allah. Because if that kun was there, that's why the things came. So if the kun is there, and it should be in everything created. It just cannot be without it, because the beginning of it is kun. Right? So it must be in us, and we have it. And it's on different level. And it could reach to a point, while purifying it, that we also does amr, and it becomes fayakun. Because we have that kun in us. Because we came from that kun, and this kun is in us. Now when we purify ourselves, we'll reach to that kun. When we reach to that kun, we can do that amr and command, and it becomes. And that's how the A'immah and Masumeen alayhim salam were, on that level of kun. They become that Ism Azam itself. When they say something, it happens. Right? From little stories to, philosophical realities could be understood. Like, for example, they brought a person who was dead, who wasn't dead. They tie him up into the, shroud, kafan, and they say, Ali, come pray, namaz mayyat. And we'll joke with him. Sometimes you see these YouTube videos or this, right, Instagram forward, mayyat, they put it, and he wakes up, to scare the people who are praying. Everybody laughs, right? So they said that we'll do a joke with Imam Ali. So they brought the kafan, a body who was alive. The guy was alive. And they put him there and asked him to pray. And Imam Ali prayed, and then after that he never woke up. They were like, oh my God, because it's kun fayakun. Hadeh mayyat, where in the namaz mayyat we recite that, this mayyat. It became mayyat. And then they fell on the feet and begged him and, apologized. Then he said, kun fayakun. He came back to life, right? That's how Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, when he used to give to the command to people who are dead, it comes back to life, right? Because that kun is in us. Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, I want to see how you give life on the day of judgment. So he asked about the birds, and what did he say? Come. After killing, chopping, making, then he said, come. It just came back to life. Everything came back to life. And he saw it, right? So why? Because this kun, that material has been placed in each and everything. And it is this very kun which allows us to reflect and understand, rationalize things on a greater capacity to other things. So all of these things that are out there has been placed in us. Every little thing. And the beauty of it is that these things are scattered around in different, universes and realms and levels, as malaika and ajinna and, malakut and whatnot. But it is in one unit. It is in one body. As an insan, Allah have placed that. Now, when we talk about this kun and irade of Allah, is irada of Allah any different to the rahmaniyat of Allah? Is the irada of Allah any different to His, sattariyat of Allah? This irada of Allah is any different to His ghufraniyat, to His musawwariyat, to His muhimmiyat? It's all one. If we say they are different, obviously then it's become shirk. All of His asma is nothing but one. That at that very instant He is Rahman, at that very instant He is Qahar. Right? So now, as He has this irada, intention, will, which becomes that amr. So this amr have all of those qualities in them, and then fayakun have all those qualities scattered, but in insan all of these qualities and attributes are in him. So insan becomes, that's why Khalifatullah. Khulf is opposite. You are muqabil, khilaf. Khilaf, ek dusre ke khilaf mein when they say is because they are, khilaf is mukhafid, opposite to each other. So insan is a khalifa, which means that he is in the image. He's like mirror. When you stand in front of the khilaf mirror, you see yourself, right? So the same way insan is known as that khalifa. It means that he's that representation of all of those which is out there in one unit, and also which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. That's why he's the khalifa, khalifatullah. He has all of these names that are there in him. But he has to bring this out. It's potentially he is. He has to understand that. As he's preoccupied, with the dunya, he get indulged and involved with. But he has to return back to that fitra, to that. And Eid al-Fitr is that. That's why it's known as Eid al-Fitr. Why is Eid al-Fitr? Because we purify in the whole month of Ramadan. And we try to, shine that fitrat, go back to that fitrat. Eid is out, is return. Return to where? Return to fitra. So 30 days of our fasting. 30 days of full concentration and being in the state of meditation. This is actually a state of meditation. We are always in the state of meditation when we are fasting, that. Because we are, whenever we want to eat something, we say, no, we are fasting. This is meditation, remembering Allah all the time, right? With all our activity. So at 30 days of, and plus Allah on top of it, He rewards us because He loves us by saying, okay, your breathing, I will count it as tasbih as well. Your sleep, I will count that as tasbih as well, right? And He rewards us. So this is also accumulated. This is something extra. So 30 days of ibadat. In this 30 days, he also says that, 3 nights for sure, most of you guys will stay up all night worshipping, unlike some of the awliya who worship every night of the month of Ramadan, they will be awake. Allama Tabatabai, they say that he will change his pattern. At night he will be awake. During the day he will sleep a bit. And during the day, man can't really sleep much anyways. He wakes up by 11, no matter, even if he's up all night, 11:30 is naturally his body, right? So he has the day as well. So Allama, that's how they would. So at least for us, maybe, one night out of 30 nights, we are worshipping all night, till Fajr. We push ourselves. Plus that one night is like 80 years too, right? 80 years or more. So with all of these continuous concentration and focusing on Allah, right, something is achieved from that fitrah. That's why it's a return to that fitrah, to that belief. If there are more returning, this fitrah will shine greater and greater. It will shine so clear that we will remember the alam azar, where we came from. We'll be able to see that. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. I don't know how long I'm supposed to speak. I teach. So I teach like hour and 50 minutes, 2 hours, I can easily speak. It doesn't really matter if somebody sleeps or walks, gets up and leave as well. I'm used to it. So I don't know how long I'm supposed to speak. I can just keep on going. What time? So it's 7:45 or 7:50? 7:49 now, right? But what time? 10 past 8. But they have some announcement or program today or no, nothing? It's free today for us. Okay, so we can go freestyle today, inshallah. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So let's conclude a bit, and then today being Friday, just wanted to speak and remind us of the 12th Imam as being Friday. So here, all of these, things that are out there is in us in one unit. And that's why it gives us that power to command and to be over all of these things that is out there. Because insan is in the image of God. Allah did not say jinn are in the image of God. But for insan, Allah have said, Allah created Adam in his form. In the form of Allah, Allah created Adam. Not form in the sense that physical, but rather that his spirit, his soul, right? And it is for insan, Allah have said, وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي. Into Adam I breath my spirit, my ruh, my spirit into him, right? So therefore, all of the asma, all of the creation that is out there is in us. And that's why we become that khalifa, that's why we have that power to do whatsoever and to have control over things. In terms of even Tahil Arz, as they call it, the awliya, they used to do, or the throne of Sheba was brought, Bilqis was brought to Hazrat Suleiman, or how Hazrat Suleiman used to fly, right? Some of my children were asking about some documentary that we were talking about, that the Egyptians had such an advanced technology that we don't have today even. They were saying that, is it really possible? I said, yes, because the basis of the previous civilization was not matter. We are materialist. We think everything revolves around material. We've been trained that way. Our mind, our science, our mathematics, our chemistry, our physics, everything is maddiyat, is madde, is matter. We haven't engaged or entertained our expertise in, subtle sciences, in occult science or other sciences, which the previous civilization they had. Like Hazrat Suleiman, for example, and Ajinna, the communication with the jinns and bringing it, this throne of Bilqis, how was it possible? They brought it physically, right? So because their base was not matter, their base was something else, right? And that's why they had that power to do so, right? The Ajinna used to go up in the heaven and uncode the destiny of each and every individual, because it descends from the heaven. وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ عِندَنَا خَزَائِنٌ. Allah says that we have treasures. From these treasures I sent whatever بِقَدْرِ مَعْلُومٍ, a set amount is sent. So I came from that treasure, and whatever I am receiving is from that treasure. So it's coming from the heaven. So it used to come from the heaven. These ajinna used to fly, go up in the heaven and decode what was coming for me, and quickly come and tell to the magician or whoever that person was. And then he will tell me my future. Then I said, oh, mashallah, you know the future. How come? Because he has a jinn, he will go up there, he will learn and come back quickly and inform him. And I was informed. And if there be anything that I'm worried about, he will tell them to go change it. And the ajinna will go and change the future. And then who becomes powerful here? The person who is in charge of that. So me, instead of worshipping Allah, I would worship this person. Right? So Allah said that after Isa, the fourth heaven was closed. The ajinna had only ability to go to the fourth heaven. Right? And then not beyond that. But previously times of Suleiman, they used to do that. Insan always, because see, this physical world is, whether we like it or not, it is connected to the material reality, to the spiritual world. That's why in the physical world, when we look at it, there are examples of the spiritual world. What does the Quran says? When the mu'mineen will go in Jannah, they will say, oh, this is something we have seen before, right? So it's not from here it's going there, but it's from there coming here, right? So that mountains and the streams and the Jannah and the Huris, that's already there. From there it's coming here. So now, because we don't know that it's there, because in the Khazain, we are thinking that, oh, when we go in Jannah, we say, oh, something similar, we saw it over there. No, this was already there, in the Khazana of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So therefore, the physical world, as the 8th Imam, there's a narration as well, which says that it is parallel. It is nothing but reflection of that spiritual world, where Aflatun also talks about, the archetypes, and this is the world of shadows. Plato's philosophy is that. By the way, Plato was considered to be a man of God, maybe a Rasul, we don't know. He was a prophet. Because the 6th Imam says, may Allah bless Plato and Aristotle. They were men of God. They were men of Tawheed. We have hadiths about Plato and Aristotle. Anyway, so what I was saying, that this physical world, whether we like it or not, will always remind us of the paths of the hereafter or of spiritual world. How do we become knowledgeable? Whenever we go in Manaviyat, in spirituality or Islam, we'll say that, okay, when you become knowledgeable, you will have the knowledge of the ghaib. When you become knowledgeable, when you become spiritual, you will have the knowledge of the ghaib. You will be able to see. Because Hazrat Isa alayhi salam would say that what's happening, what was cooked in their house. Because why? Because he's Waliullah, and he was able to see the ghaib, right? The Anbiya and Awliya, I don't want to spend time in stories, I want to give you a concept, a principle, right? So therefore, whenever a person becomes knowledgeable, he knows the future, the ghaib, right? And for knowing the future and ghaib, you have to go higher, either in spirit or in physicality. Because when you go up higher in the physicality, it knows the ghaib, it calculates where you are going. Heading Masjid-e-Ali hour and a half ago, when I put in the navigation, right? For example, I put in the navigation the postcode where I am going. The satellite knows where you are going. It has the knowledge of the ghaib, right? Where is the accident, so on and so forth. How it's happening? Because it has gone up. So we have to go up to gain knowledge, right? So physical world, what I'm trying to say is that the physical world will always be an example to learn about the immaterial world. Why? Because Allah have said that I have put signs in this physical world. So when we reflect on these signs, you will come to the realization of the spiritual world. So these ajinna used to go up and decode our futures of the human beings, come back and tell and inform. Right? So what does this mean? This means that in order For us to know the ghaib, we have to go higher. And this whole, this whole journey of man, even the present postmodern civilization, which is based on matter, they have something to do about traveling to the space expedition. So much is spent on it. So much is spent on that. Why they want to know, go to the space? Why? There's something hidden that we don't know. It's not just that to colonize the Mars. There's something much higher than that, right? So because insan have that nature to look up, right? This is something natural. It looks up, towards the heaven. And that's what Allah is trying to point out to, right? To look up towards the heaven. Allah have placed that we are low. Insan is low. Ya ayyuhal insan antumul fuqara ila Allah. But heavens is the higher up there, right? We have to look up. And based on all of these cosmological calculations and principles, we design and we do things. First of the month, look at the moon, look up towards the heaven, right? Masajid, the way to build the minarets, huge, look up whenever you go. Or whether that be Gothic art, whether that be church, whatever, big, huge buildings, high ceilings, symbolizing something, right? So this physical world will always have that element and aspect. And that's what the traditional science promotes. Traditional science and traditions are not outdated or backdated. It doesn't mean. Tradition means that something that is based on revelation. Tradition and traditional science or traditional principles are something that is based on wahi, on higher principles, on philosophical principles. Okay? So therefore, the traditional science and art would always promote that, so that our fitrat synchronizes with it. It kind of is at peace. Even when you go to a church, you have a peaceful feeling compared to you go to into Luton or into some shopping place or big skyscrapers in Dubai. When you look at that, you feel like, oh my God, you have a wahshat. But when you look at a church, it's very peaceful. It's a different feeling. Because of that basis of this construction is based on those traditional sciences. What are traditional sciences? Traditional sciences are based on philosophy, metaphysical realities, and wahi. Whether that be wahi as a wahi Qur'ani or wahi as in wahi in Bible or whatever wahi, revelation, right? It's based on that. That's why when we look at the traditional science, whether that be Chinese or Hinduism or Islam or Christianity, you'll always find that element of peace. The Chinese art, look at that. The monasteries, it's a peace there, right? Because it's based on that. But the modern world have completely snatched that away. The postmodern period have taken that away. It's based on that matter. So therefore, those realities that is out there, the Ajinna would go and decode after fourth heaven. They were stopped, and they say after the Prophet was born, it was completely closed. The doors of the heavens were closed for them. They were unable to go up, no matter how much they tried to go up. So that signs of going up is only with those who wants to really purify on this path of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. They are able to go up. They will be able to go up. And that's why, as today is a Friday, as the day of the Zuhur, Sayyid Ali Qazi Tabatabai was the Ustad of Allama Tabatabai, very famous guy, very famous personality. Mirza Ali Qazi Tabatabai, Sayyid Ali Qazi Tabatabai. They say that he was aware of the zikr that is supposed to be recited when Imam Zamana arrives in Makkah. Because we know the riwayat says that a person who, when Imam comes, he will announce that I am the son of Zahra and I have arrived, and come to my aid and help. And the people will take one step out of the house, the next step they will go in front of the Imam. in Kaaba, wherever they are, right? That's the riwayat there, with a miracle. They will go there. But the point is that we should have that power to perform that miracle. You know, there is something to be recited for that to happen. And Sayyid Ali Qazi says that I know the zikr which one is supposed to recite to reach Imam Zaman in a blink of an eye. That quick. So Sayyid Ali have worked on his spirit and soul to achieve that zikr. So now if we want to be the ashab from those 313, as we say that, oh, why Imam is not coming, 313 now, right now we have about 300 people right here, all together if we count, for example, right? But why is Imam not coming, right? Well, do we really know that zikr which we are supposed to recite to reach Imam Zaman? If you know that zikr to recite to reach Imam Zaman, yes, then he will come. But we don't know that. What does that mean? That means we are not working. That means we are not, our focus is something else. We are not going in that direction to learn what is that zikr, right? And for that zikr is not like some special, we go to somebody and ask and they will just give us like that. Usually that's what we want, easy solution, quick solution. They go to look for some Bahjat or somebody or some Maulana, very spiritual, they say, oh, give me some zikr, so that we read that and we shoot. No, up fast. It doesn't work that way. Everything is sunnah, gradually. And we have to follow that. We have to work on that. When we are focused and working towards that, yes, it will happen. It will be given, maybe in a form of a dream even, maybe in a form of some other way. Because we are looking at the signs out there in the world. And these signs speaks to us. And it will inform us of that zikr and what it is. Right? So therefore, Sayyid Ali Qazi says that I know that zikr which is recited to reach Imam Zaman. I asked my teacher that only 313 is needed for the helper of the Imam. MashaAllah, so many Shia people, 20 million walking for Arba'in walk. Only 313, why? So he says these 313, each and every one of them should be like Imam Khomeini. So the 313, every person should be like the Imam. So are we all working towards becoming that sort of, in terms of our ijtihad, knowledge, science, right? So we have to really work, and as today being the Friday, which is mentioned that it will be a Friday that the Imam will reappear. And the eve of Friday is very heavy for the Imam that it did not happen. It's delayed for another Friday. So it's a point of reflection on a Friday evening. Dua Samat is highly recommended to be recited on a Friday evening, which have all of the asma of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Dua Samat is a dua which is for protection for the one whole week. A person, when he recites that, he's insured from the bala, from the traps of shaitan for the whole week. So that's on a Friday evening to be recited. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us strength and tawfiq to educate ourselves, to learn, and also to practice these du'as, these teachings of Ahl Bayt alayhimu salam, inshallah. Allahumma aghfir lil mu'minina wal mu'minat wal muslimina wal muslimat al ahyahi minhum wal amwat tabi' baynana hum baynahum bil khairat innaka mujibud da'wat innaka waliul hajat innaka ala kulli shay'in qadir. Rahimallahu man qara al-Fatiha li arwahil mu'minina wal mu'minat, especially for the marhumin of the sponsors of the niyaz tonight, and the marhumin of all of the brothers and sisters who are present here, with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.